Historical and Arts Council. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Let's Go to Jail. Today we're going to be with Darry Wood, a phenomenal carver, and hear his story and his long relationship with the Clay County Historical and Arts Council and the Old Jail Museum. So stay tuned. Welcome back. Now we are here in the Cherokee Room of the Old Jail Museum with Mr. Darry Wood, an accomplished wood carver and someone who has a long history of being connected with our museum. Darry, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time and coming in and bringing some of these carvings that you've brought. Can you tell us a little bit about the first time you came in contact with the council or the old jail?
Well, it was when Miss Gertrude Price, the founder of the Arts Council, called me up and had heard that I was doing some interesting art and craft work, and would I exhibit some of it here in the Old Jail Museum.
Wonderful.
I was working at the time with my friend Michael Hockaday doing stained glass work, and between us we had made a number of stained glass pieces, and I also had some furniture and cabinetry that I had made. Also a long time love of mine is American Indian crafts, and so I had a lot of things that I had made in the Native American style. And between Michael's few things, he had some spoons and a few carvings, and our stained glass and my furniture and everything, we filled this entire room with an exhibit that was on display, I think, for at least a month, maybe a little bit longer.
Quite a wide range of mediums, though.
A wide range of mediums, yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. I love to see stained glass. I know that's hard to travel with.
Yeah. And most of that's gone, but we were in the business of selling stained glass,
okay.
and I still have a couple of pieces in my home that I saved from that time, you know.
Do you remember what year it was when you had this room filled with you and Michael's?
Well, I brought an article from the Asheville Citizen-Times by John Paris, who is a beloved journalist who heard about the exhibition, and he came here and wrote it up. He also went up to our house afterwards, so he took that photograph here on the lawn of the museum where I'd set about a 17-foot Cheyenne teepee.
That's amazing. And this is 1980.
Yes, September of 1980. It was in the fall.
That's amazing. So, I'll make sure I get pictures of this for you guys to read.
So that would be about exactly 44 years ago.
It was in the Asheville Citizen-Times on Sunday, September 7th of 1980.
Yes, and
that's awesome.
And by that time, we'd already had the exhibition going for 2 or 3 weeks, and it was here a week or so after that. So John is a native of Sylva, North Carolina, and he was born in 1914 and was in World War II. He was not active military, but rather was a war correspondent. He worked for many newspapers in his lifetime, and he was in Europe as a war correspondent during the Second World War. And then he came back and started writing books. He wrote many, and we on our shelf of cookbooks is John Paris's Mountain Cooking.
Oh, that's nice. I'd like to see that.
And older people would remember him well because, like I said, he had this roaming the mountains in the column in the Asheville newspaper 2 or 3 days a week. At least once a week, he produced lots of these columns and compiled them into books and such.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I was honored to have this friendship with him.
Sure, I'll bet. Let's back up a little bit. How do you attribute your interest in the arts? Where did this come from? Did you have a family member that was a carver or?
Not really.
No.
And carving is not, let's see. I've been doing it ever since I was a little boy because my granddaddy taught me to use a pocket knife even before I was a scout. And then I went on into Boy Scouting where camping and craftsmanship and we carved neckerchief slides. That was one of my basic introductions to wood carving, and then it went off.
To get a patch for the scouts?
You get, there is a wood carving merit badge, which you're probably referring to.
Yes, okay.
And then you have to have so many badges of various kinds to move up through the ranks in scouting, and I'm an Eagle Scout, for which it's a minimum of 21 merit badges.
Oh, wow.
So I did that when I was fella, and it has been an important part of my life. I continue to go to scouting events.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't realize. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
What about the stained glass? How did you learn how to do that?
I learned that from a friend in Jacksonville, Florida. Much of my family is rooted in Jacksonville, and my brother is active in the arts community, and he had a good friend who was a professional stained glass guy, lived just down the street. And so I met this guy named Bill who taught me to do it. And Bill's in Oklahoma now, but he called me on the phone the other day. So we keep some of these connections going.
That's amazing.
And he was a real master glass artist, and I got it down pretty good, but I just stuck with it for a couple of years. And I'm always moving on to something else, which is not the way one makes money at arts and crafts. You learn to do something real well and do it over and over, and then you get efficient at it and proficient at it. And about the time I start catching on to something, I leave
Something
it,
catches your
I
attention.
leave it and do something else. So the joke in my family is I'm a starving artist that never misses a meal, because my wife has had a real job, you know. So I keep trying, and I'm thankful to be right now, like I say, working on my last, probably life-size figure of a.
Yes, tell us about that. This is in progress now?
This is in progress now.
Okay.
It's in my workshop, has been for a couple of years. I made some of the clothing 10 or 15 years ago, knowing that this was coming.
Okay.
So just like with Laura here, our River Cane basket maker, I produced the clothing, and from a similar period. This is like the earliest period for which we have evidence, and that would be early 19th century, 1810, 1820, 1830, pre-removal. And so...
is she one piece of wood, her whole body?
No, many pieces of wood.
Many?
Yeah, yes.
But she is all wooden?
All wooden, yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
Before I did her, I did a life-size warrior, a Cherokee warrior in the similar period of dress. And he was bought by the Museum of the Cherokee Indian.
Oh, nice.
And is still owned by them, although they have lent him out a number of times. He's traveled because other people want such a thing on display, and
Sure.
you can't hardly get something like that.
Sure, it's like, I'm sure a lost art just about, isn't it?
Well, there's very little knowledge of southeastern Indian clothing, even in the historic period where they're primarily relying on European trade goods. You know, nothing remains of the ancient pre-Columbian contact, right?
Right.
Pre-European contact
Columbus.
clothing does not exist, because it's organic and,
Sure.
and is long since gone. In fact, items from the early 19th century, like we're talking about 1800 period, that's very rare. In fact, up on the wall is probably the one piece, at least that I know, that exists in Western North Carolina.
Okay.
And probably that's
Which is a belt?
it's a man's belt. We call it a sash, and it's beaded on wool cloth, and the long fringes are hand woven. The beads, of course, are a European trade item. They're glass beads, were mostly made in Venice, Italy at that time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that, the beads did some traveling themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. This statue that you brought of the young boy blowing the, what do you call that, dart?
A blowgun.
A blowgun?
Mm-hmm.
So you have been working on this because you knew this other project was coming up, is that correct? Or the project came up and you started carving this guy?
Well, in other words, sometime well over probably 60 years ago, visiting the Oconaluftee village, which is the Eastern Band of Cherokee's reconstruction of an 18th century village and homestead.
Okay.
And they have tribal members demonstrating a wide variety of arts and crafts.
Where is this?
This is in Cherokee, North Carolina.
No kidding.
The home of the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. Their official designation is not that of a reservation, but it's called quala boundary, because it's not land that was reserved by the government for the Indians. They had to buy back their own land.
Oh my gosh.
And so the quala boundary is the main property on which the Eastern Band lives. They also have a community over in the Snowbird Mountains in Graham County. Not to be confused with a festival.
Okay.
This is a major tourism enterprise of the tribe, where you get a guided tour through this village, and along the way there are stations of people doing wood carving, doing basket making, doing finger weaving, like that.
Okay.
Pottery and all manner.
I would absolutely love to go.
And so when I was a fairly young fellow, no more than a boy, I visited there and saw this old man making blowguns, and I saw a younger man shooting the river cane blowgun, which from time immemorial they have hunted small animals, especially kids, before they ever shoot a bow and arrow.
Okay.
They hunt birds and small mammals with the blowgun. Squirrels, rabbits.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably a groundhog might be the biggest mammal, and a wild turkey, it might be the largest bird. They would shoot them right through the eye. They would very good pinpoint accuracy.
Wow.
Right? And so over the years, I started getting acquainted with other old guys making blowguns and darts, and I acquired a lot of them myself, and I got in the custom of shooting in my living room every day. I have a target set up, and also after a while I thought, you ought to do a museum exhibit along these lines. And so, like I say, about 30 years ago, I got the concept, and I roughed out this little guy, which I never finished. But I started to acquire some of the clothing, make some of the items, and then about 3 years ago, I got a grant from a Cherokee artist, actually, to produce this. We were turned down for a grant. Rob Tiger could tell you who turned us down, because they'd already given us so much money for this and other things. And they said, we've got to spread the money around the county. And our friend Davy Arch, a very important Eastern Band artist who had recently had a windfall from some land he sold to the casino. And he heard that our funding wasn't granted. He said, well, I want Darry's project to happen, and he put some money in the bank.
That's amazing.
And I have yet to draw most of it, so I'm waiting until I'm finished, and I'm getting there.
And so the one you're doing is going to be similar to this small statue here?
Small, yeah, and I wouldn't call this a statue.
Sorry, can I hold it?
Sure, sure.
What do you call it?
Oh, it's just a little figure.
A figure.
Yeah, and the life-size figure, of course, is carved. The mannequin is carved out of wood just like this, but it's actual clothing that he wears.
Okay, right.
Yeah, and the clothing.
I see.
Yeah, and so the way I do these, this is basswood, but the actual figures, life-size figures, I do with usually using pine for the structure of the body underneath the clothing, but wherever the skin is exposed, like the hands and the face and the neck, I carve that out of cherry wood. And that naturally ages to just the color of a native complexion without any stain or anything.
Is the basswood softer? Is that why you use that for the smaller figurines?
And it's the wood of preference for figure carvers all over the world.
Okay.
It's in Europe it's known as linden or lin. Basswood is one of the common names, and it's just a real nice, even grain, not too hard, not too soft. Back when carousel horses, for example, were made out of wood, basswood was what they would be made from. And when you buy little European figurines in a gift shop or something like that, they're mostly basswood. So it's just
what a wonderful
the choice of carvers for hundreds of years.
I've dabbled in a little bit of carving myself, but I never had heard that. So now I'm going to find out where to find some basswood.
Oh, it's not extremely common, but we've got quite a bit of it back in the mountains on our property.
Okay.
It has a nice white blossom that the bees make a delicious honey from in the spring. Yeah. Big heart-shaped leaf.
Okay. What about these angels here? Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Nothing about it other than just one Christmas years ago, I just got inspired with a little bit of basswood to just make a little pair of angels, and they're never quite finished. You know, I just roughed them out and.
Right, but the talent, I'm just amazed. Just for a rough draft, there's already a lot of detail in here, and you're saying you never finished the detail on them, but this is beautiful.
Well, it's just a whimsical thing to do.
Right? It's awfully light.
It is, yes.
Well, that's wonderful.
They're probably a little dusty at your request. I just pulled something off the
please
shelf.
bring something to talk about.
I had big rocking horses and other life-size busts and stuff like that that I didn't choose to lug down here. But this and spoons is something I frequently carve, and cherry wood is my favorite choice for a.
Yeah, I see what you mean about how dark it.
That's just the natural color of it. And the
spoons.
Yeah, that's what I.
Let's come with the ladle.
And I have about a half a dozen at least different designs. I have a salad set. I have smaller serving spoons. And,
oh, that's awesome.
And so this is often what I make for wedding presents, and ladies in my family that like to cook always get some kind of a wooden spoon sooner or later.
So do you finish it at all, or is it just oiled?
Just oil.
Just oil?
I use a.
It's a remarkably soft.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so then the oil, you don't have to worry about cooking with it, is what my point was.
No, and while you can put, olive oil or some natural vegetable oil, in time that'll wash off, and if you put it in hot liquids like a soup or something, it'll also bleed out. But they make several products that are food safe oil finishes that harden.
Okay.
Like that, and so they leave a little bit of a varnish on it that's non-toxic, and I usually put a coat or two of that on cutting boards and things like that.
Sure,
it's
yeah.
called
utensils.
Called salad bowl finish or butcher block finish. It goes by different names like that.
So that way you know it's the organic kind, and that's not going to hurt you if it comes off on the food.
Right.
That's very interesting. And is this basket that you brought one of the woven ones?
This is a Cherokee river cane single woven purse basket, and even to this day, but especially in the last generation, you could go in the markets over in the Cherokee community and you'd see the older ladies, particularly with these kind of swing handle baskets on their arm. And this was made by a dear departed woman named Emma Squirrel Taylor. She's in that basketry book over there.
Okay. I'll make sure I get pictures of all of these.
There's a book on Cherokee basketry over there by Sarah Hill, and Emma Squirrel Taylor is featured there, and she probably made that over 50 years ago. Yeah, that's been my.
Really?
I'm a kind of guy that always
over
carries.
50 years ago.
Yeah.
It's remarkably well preserved.
Very durable, and yet it could use a little repair here and there. But in fact, this time last year, I got to see her daughter who's still making baskets. And I told her I still had her mama's basket and it was doing well.
Oh, that's wonderful. As far as Clay County goes, how much can you tell us about the Native Americans here in Clay County? I know that Cherokee is one county over, Cherokee, North Carolina.
See, all of western North Carolina back in the day was Cherokee County. Everything from Asheville west.
I did hear that they had split the county.
And they kept carving up Cherokee County over and over and over again. But Clay County was carved out of Cherokee County.
Okay.
And all that now remains is over around Murphy on west to the Tennessee line, right?
Okay.
But it's all the same native people. There's not any difference in.
So as far as like the Spike Buck Mound, that would have been Cherokee, right?
It would have been, yes. What the anthropologists often call Proto-Cherokee, because that mound originated. It was. Call it Cherokee. The exact time of the Cherokees' arrival in these mountains is not always firmly agreed upon by the archaeologists.
Okay.
But that is I think Dr. Riggs would Dr. Eastman, who are the authorities, would call that a Cherokee site.
Okay.
And it's about 1,000 years old almost.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but throughout these mountains, through all these, this part of what we now call Western North Carolina, on down into North Georgia, East Tennessee, we're just full of Cherokee towns. And Clay County.
Well, what I wouldn't get to be alive in those days.
And Clay County had quite a few of them.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is there anything else you wanted to share with us, Darry? And maybe let us know when your what is that called? Your blowgun?
My blowgun boy will be unveiled when I get his buckskin jacket finished. I've got the figure pretty well finished. I've been trying to tweak him. And the last thing I have yet to do, and I'm in the process now of making him a fine buckskin frock coat.
Okay.
And then I'll arrange with the director of the library over here at the Moss Memorial Library. They have a Cherokee Culture Center.
I have been there. It's amazing.
And he's going to be a new feature that you'll see when you enter the library.
Oh, so we're going to keep it here in Hayesville.
Yes.
Yay, I'm excited. I would love for you to call me and let me know when that happens. I'd please love to cover the announcement of it and get that out to our viewers here.
Well, thank you. And of course, my boss, Rob Tiger, is very much involved, and will have a lot to say about when all that happens. And you probably have. Do you
foresee it happening this year or being 25?
I would like it to happen this year, but it is probably going to be after the new year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be ready to hear that. I'll be there with bells on. It's been wonderful talking with you today.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much,
I
Darry.
just would say again, it's an honor to be associated with the old jail museum now for 4 decades.
Right.
We're going on 5.
Yes, and we're lucky to have you. And you guys have got to come see Lura, our Cherokee basket weaver, in person, because it's a really amazing little exhibit here. And our Cherokee Room is filled with all types of artifacts that came here from Clay County. The basket weaver books that he was speaking of. I'll get some good pictures for y'all so you can scroll through the photo gallery. Anything else you wanted to talk about today, Darry?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. I hope you guys come visit our website. It's clayhistoryartsnc.org. And if you or anyone you know would like to be a part of this video series, Let's Go to Jail, and you know anything about any of the exhibits here, I would absolutely love to hear from you. You can email me at CCHAC'S@outlook.com. And don't forget our social media sites. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. And thank you so much for tuning in today from Clay County Historical and Arts Council, and come back to the next time we go to jail. Thank you.